This week is a big one. Action-oriented Mars, ruler of Aries, the sign that is cardinal on fire and marks the beginning of the zodiacal year, enters Aries on the 9, where it rules. And when Mars hits home, he hits the ground running. And with this, the only planet left in the mysterious water of Pisces is Mercury, the messenger of the gods. And he exits his retrograde shadow on the same day, so the fog lifts, though it's still in Pisces where the message is more elusive. But if you've been confused, second guessing yourself, or struggling to find words, clarity is slowly returning. So what you couldn't articulate before, it might find its voice soon. Now, therapeutically, this is the moment to stop processing and start moving. Now, the cosmic lovers, Venus and Mars, are both in rulership, governing the full spectrum of human experience, from love and sex on a personal level to war and diplomacy on the world stage. So they're both operating at full power simultaneously. So in healing terms, this is the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine, both in authority, desire and receptivity, action and harmony, both balance and restores. But the bigger picture is even bigger. All the planets are direct through May 6. The Sun is exalted in Aries, Jupiter is exalted in Cancer, so all 4 planets in dignity. This is the kind of astrology that doesn't come often, and the collective feels it even without knowing about it. And when Mars enters Aries at 0 degree, it activates that Neptune-Saturn conjunction that we have in February and is a signature of our times, where dreams materialize, reinventing identity. The boundary between vision and reality is thinning until what you imagine becomes that which you build. So this is destiny aligning. So start the project, make the call, launch, reach out, take that first step, ride this cosmic wave. And with Mars, this energy is rushing even before it arrives. So by the 13th, it meets with the foggy planet of Neptune, where we want to go, 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 but we lose the north momentarily, so we don't know where to, and the energy of momentum gets momentarily derailed. On the 17th, we have the new moon in Aries, which I will talk more about next week, but that's a seed of manifestation in all things Aries, and it will emerge in the next 6 months. But it's conjunct Chiron, the wounded planet, where we'll be insecure and oversensitive, and a wounded warrior has a harder time fighting. So for now, leave your issues for later. By the 19th, Mars meets with Saturn, where we get a big stop sign. So as we have one foot on the gas, we put the other ones on the brake simultaneously. So we get to be slowed down to get clear on our intentions. So the question is, what to do with all this horsepower when we lost the direction? And this is like a cosmic rerouting, because Mars, the warrior, the highest expression of his vibration is the hero, the capacity to make something happen, to build something that matters and makes a difference. But the lowest manifestation is its total opposite, is anger, aggression, destruction, is the lesser malefic. Mars encompasses what in psychology we call the eros and the thanatos, the creative principle versus the destructive principle. But why people often gravitate to the latter when we want the former? And that's because thanatos is easier. Eros requires vulnerability. It asks you to invest in yourself, in something that might fail. It asks you to love something or someone enough to build and stick with it. So Eros gets exposed, it can be rejected, it becomes more vulnerable. Eros demands that you show up fully, and that takes a lot of courage. Thanatos requires nothing except reaction. Destruction is always available. Tearing down, criticizing, abandoning, self-sabotaging, these are all Thanatos themes, and sometimes they dress up as action, so they feel like movement, but they consume rather than create. This is what in Chinese medical we call absolute fire versus supplemental fire. Supplemental fire is the fire that cooks, the fire that warms the house, and absolute fire is what burns down the forest. So what's the psychological trap? When Eros is blocked, creative energy has nowhere to go. And when passion has no outlet, when purpose feels out of reach, that same life force doesn't disappear, it inverts. It becomes Thanatos. So the same intensity that you would have to build something magnificent now destroys instead. And this is why most passionate people can also be distracted when blocked, because the creative principle versus the destructive principle are two sides of the same coin, the yin and yang of that Tao. Freud understood this as the fundamental human tension, not good versus evil, but life drive versus death drive. And the cruel irony is that often Thanatos disguises itself as Eros. Like in obsessive relationships, it can feel like love, but it's really destruction of love and freedom. In workaholism, for example, that feels like purpose, but is really self-erasing. And anger that feels self-righteous is really dress-up grief that hasn't been acknowledged and addressed. So how to elevate this energy to its highest manifestation to offset the lowest expression of its vibration? The key during these times is to channel this energy into your mission and focus on what I call the PPP: passion, purpose, and progress. So what's the Mars lesson? Mars doesn't care which way energy flows. He just aims at whichever direction you point him to. So the hero or the destroyer, the builder or the arsonist is the same fire. So let's take advantage of it, which is exactly why having a mission, your PPP, is not just motivational, is intentional, is protective. It gives Eros a destination. And when Eros has a destination, Thanatos has nothing to invert into, unless someone gets in your way. So put on your superhero cape and tell me later.